Hello everyone, it is that time of the year. We are approaching the end of 2024, so it is time to go over my top 10 movies of 2024. These are my opinions, my personal feelings towards these movies. There are some movies I didn't see, some movies I just didn't like as much as others, but I'm not going to waste any more of your time. You came here for a top 10 and I'm going to give you my top 10. Coming in at number 10, Challengers. Ever since this movie came out, people were going nuts over it, and I finally watched it just a few weeks ago, and it is worth the hype. It is really, really good. Zendaya, Mike Face, and Josh O'Connor, they absolutely crush it in this. The relationship between all three of their characters is so damn fascinating, and I was hooked as soon as all three met for the first time. The more the movie unfolds, the more you just can't wait to see what the end result is going to be. I will say though, I'm not usually a fan of when movies jump around timeline-wise, like they'll go like 8 months ago, 6 years ago, 4 months ago. I'm not really a fan of that kind of thing, but this movie made it work. Challengers was structured in a way to where I was just engaged pretty much the whole time. It is like such a thriller drama, and I'm trying to see which character is going to do what, who will like end up with Zendaya or whatever, and then just seeing Zendaya's character just tennis, tennis, tennis. Yeah, baby, I love tennis, and it was just a blast. At number 9, If. A lot of people did not care about If, but I loved it. It's such a wonderful time, and overall, it's just a nice movie. There are so many colorful, imaginary characters, and the actors they brought in to voice each imaginary character, this cast is like, wow, what a lineup. Most of film Twitter seemed to hate Ryan Reynolds, but I think he's great, and he does a good job in this. I was going in with pretty low expectations, because everyone was just saying it's either mid or just not that good, but I nearly teared up at the end because of all the Ifs reconnecting with their kids that are now all grown up. And big spoiler warning here, the reveal that Ryan Reynolds' character is Bee's old imaginary friend was fantastic. I probably should have seen something like that coming, but since I didn't, it made it even more special. If was one of the most wholesome movies I have ever seen. At number 8, Abigail. Abigail was an absolute blast. The cast is great and the characters are so damn funny. Their chemistry was off the charts. Big shout out to Catherine Newton and Kevin Durand. They were major highlights, and Melissa Barrera is in this thing as well, and she's always wonderful. Alicia Ware did such a great job as Abigail. I love that character so much. One of my favorite characters, not just in horror, in 2024 for sure. There's a lot of blood in this. There's a lot of good comedy and several very cool moments, especially the dance scene where Abigail is controlling Sammy. That scene has lived in my mind ever since seeing the movie, and it's one of my favorite movie moments of the year. The only negative I have is that the ending tries to do a bit much in my opinion, but I've said this before, after a second watch, it didn't really bother me all that much, so I'm pretty much fine with the ending now. Abigail is such a good time, and the rewatchability is crazy. I could watch this thing once a week for an entire year, and I don't think I would get sick of it. At number 7, Bad Boys Ride or Die. This was such a great theater experience. Martin Lawrence and Will Smith are awesome. I didn't even realize a 4th Bad Boys movie was coming out. I was figuring out which movie to see at the theater, and I saw that Bad Boys Ride or Die was there. I was like, what the heck? There are so many cool action sequences in this movie, and the main storyline kind of revolves around Captain Howard, who is one of my favorite characters from the franchise. Bad Boys Ride or Die is one of the best action movies of the year, and I am not exaggerating. It is a blast. Things get pretty wild in this thing. There's a crazy helicopter crash scene, and there's a giant albino alligator that shows up towards the end. The Bad Boys movies are very consistent, and honestly, I think Bad Boys 4, Bad Boys Ride or Die, I think it might be the best one so far. At number 6, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Sonic 3 was one of my most anticipated movies of 2024, and it did not disappoint. I love all 3 Sonic movies, and I think they're great. This is probably the best one. I got to watch it opening weekend in a packed theater, and the last 30 minutes of Sonic 3 almost felt like I was watching a great Marvel movie, like Endgame, Infinity War, peak Marvel era. It was electric in that theater and on the screen. Shadow is such a great character, and I don't really know much about the games themselves, but I love the way they explained his backstory. Jim Carrey absolutely killed it playing Dr. Robotnik and Gerald Robotnik. He's super funny, and pretty much all of the bits and jokes landed for me. There's even a 4th wall break that caught me so off guard, and I absolutely loved it. Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails are such a great team, and it kind of feels like Tails got a bit more time to shine in this one despite being introduced in the second movie. I've really enjoyed seeing Sonic grow as a character, and he goes absolutely nuts and loses it a bit in the final act, and it's just so amazing to watch. I just watched it 1 week ago, and if it had more time to sit with me, it would probably crack the top 5. Here we go. We're in the top 5, and if you said any of these movies were your movie of the year, I would have no argument against it. Number 5, Wicked. I had absolutely no desire to see Wicked when the trailers first dropped. Then one day, I just decided to maybe give it a watch. Almost everybody loved it, and they were saying how amazing it was, so I said, you know what, why not? Let me tell you, I did not expect to fall in love with Wicked. The songs, the performances, Elphaba and Galinda's relationship, it was all great. Cynthia Erivo killed it, Ariana Grande was so damn funny, Jonathan Bailey was just this giant ball of charisma. I have been listening to What Is This Feeling and Popular non-stop since leaving the theater. I fell in love with Elphaba, and I cried at the end of the movie. The ending of Defying Gravity has been memed on a lot, and it's in that Target commercial that plays every like 10 minutes, but it's genuinely one of the most powerful endings to a movie I have seen in years. Now, I'm glazing the hell out of Wicked, and it's only at number 5. It's not a perfect movie, and the main complaint on Twitter at least is that the background lighting or whatever is like all wonky and some of the shots look ugly because of it, which I get, but I'm gonna be real, some of y'all are a little bit dramatic. The movie looks great for the most part, at least, I didn't really have a problem with it. When Wicked comes to streaming, I'm gonna rewatch this thing to death, and I'm already seated for part 2. Number 4, Stop Motion. Stop Motion was made last year but got a theatrical release in early 2024, so I'm counting it. I had very high hopes for this movie and it more than delivered. I love stop motion animation and I love horror movies. The story is about a woman desperately trying to finish her stop motion project and it becomes a truly horrifying experience for her, so hell yeah. Storyline wise, it was not what I was expecting, but I was very pleased with the outcome. It's gross, it's creative, and it just gets straight up weird at the end, and I loved it. The little girl that shows up to help Ella with her movie and just suggests the weirdest shit was so eerie, but it is such a cool idea, and I think it worked. I am not even kidding, I actually clapped when this movie ended, and I was just sitting on my bed watching it on Shudder. I never do shit like that, but this movie was so good, I just felt the need to celebrate. For a good chunk of 2024, I would have said it's the best horror movie of the year. Number 3, Flow. This might just be one of the best animated movies ever made. I heard all of the film festival buzz, and I heard it was about a cat and some other animals on a boat, so I said, yes sir, I'm hyped. Didn't even need to see a trailer. I'm a guy who likes his dialogue, alright? I need to hear the characters having some sort of conversation. Flow just has cute and well-animated animals and sounds. The body movements of each animal and the little noises they make tell a complete story. You can pretty much tell exactly what's going through each character's head at all times. The entire story of the cat being a loner and then being thrown into a scary situation and forced into working with others is simple, yet so interesting to see unfold. The lemur's obsession with its trinkets, the secretary bird ditching its group in order to stand up for the cat, the Labrador who's the friendliest out of the group of rowdy dogs, and the capybara who's just calm, cool, and collected. All of these animals who work together to try and stay alive during this gigantic flood. I loved them so much. I watched this the same day as Wicked. Maybe it was just an emotional day or whatever, but Flow also made me cry. From being worried about the cat falling into the water like 10 times, the scene with the bird at the top of that mountain, and the ending with the whale who showed up from time to time to help our crew out. Damn, I'm starting to get emotional just thinking about it. I loved Flow so much, even if it doesn't seem like your kind of thing, I urge you to give it a chance. Number 2, Deadpool and Wolverine. This might be the most fun I've ever had watching a movie. Deadpool and Wolverine was my number 1 movie of the year for the longest time before I changed it just a few days ago. It's got great action, it's very funny, and it's exactly the kick that the MCU needed because everything after No Way Home has been either mid or just pretty okay. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman make such a great duo. They are so much fun and I could easily watch them go back and forth all day. The Honda Odyssey scene is fantastic. Not only is the fight they have good, but right before it when Wolverine tears into Deadpool, good God, man. Call me stupid or whatever, but those 60 seconds alone put Hugh Jackman in the best supporting actor conversation. I don't have any complaints really about this movie. It's full of silly references, awesome and hilarious cameos, and a great ending that still has some of that typical Deadpool humor sprinkled in. The soundtrack is also a huge bonus. Green Day is my favorite band, so hearing Good Riddance play as the credits roll with that little highlight reel playing on the side was awesome. And at number 1, The Substance. The Substance is art. It's cinema, it's peak. This movie is fantastic, and it's one of those movies that everyone needs to see at least once in their life. A great mix of body horror and just overall a good story. I've said this before, but you could take out all of the horror elements and it would still be good. Before the movie is even finished, I was like, it can't get any crazier than this. You know that the balance is not going to be respected, but the consequences go even further than expected. The final 15 minutes are so wild, but then we end up with Elizabeth Starr on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and it's just perfect. Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley are so damn good in this. Demi Moore gets to shine just a touch more as she realizes that Sue is taking what was hers. I can't even look at a tiled bathroom the same without thinking of the substance. If I'm watching something and there's a bathroom that's either tiled or just mainly white, I immediately think of the substance. That bathroom is iconic. This movie just came out a few months ago, and it's already one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, borderline in my top 10, I'm not even kidding. We're currently in awards season, and the Golden Globes are just around the corner, and the Oscars are also coming up. The Substance better get some major love. And there you have it. Those are my top 10 movies of 2024. There were tons of good movies that came out this year. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to be posting a 2024 movies tier list. That way, outside of the top 10, you can see how I feel and my opinions on other movies that came out in 2024, because there were a lot of good ones and a handful of bad ones, but mainly it was a pretty good year for movies, I would say. Thank you for watching. Leave your top 10 in the comments below. This list probably isn't going to match up with a lot of people's, but hey, everybody has different opinions, and I love seeing all of them in the comment section, so let me know your favorites of the year, and I will see you in the next video. Probably another top 10, because I gotta go over everything I watched during the month of December. Yippee! Okay, goodbye.